I want to help you buy and sell homes with confidence. My name's Eric Kelly, and I'm a realtor serving the Philadelphia suburbs. Been in real estate for a while, but before real estate, I graduated from Georgetown Law and won multiple awards as a practicing lawyer. I want to bring my nearly a combined decade of real estate and legal experience to help you. I grew up in the Philly suburbs, I live here now, and I want it to be home for you. So let's get started making that happen. You want to relocate to the Philadelphia suburbs and you just don't know where to start. You don't know which town fits your lifestyle, which schools you should be looking at, the taxes, the commutes. You don't even know how to start the process because you're not living in the area. Well, good news. Not only did I grow up here, but I relocated here too. After nearly a decade as an attorney in Washington, D.C., my wife and I decided it was time to move back up, be close to our families, and start our own family. And I want to take all of the lessons we learned, all of the mistakes that we made, and help you relocate easily and confidently. Hello, hello, hello. We are back. We are going to be talking about relocating today. And you're here because you live in New York, you live in DC, you live maybe downtown in Philly, maybe it's Princeton, Trenton. I don't know where you live right now, but you're super over living there and you want to live in the suburbs because you want land, you want to start a family, you want to be closer to family that you already have. You're done with it. And I know exactly how done with it you are because I'm a relocator myself. I grew up in the Philly suburbs, but I went to law school in DC, ended up working as an attorney in DC for a while. That's where I met my wife. We were living in what at the time, when we first moved in, felt like a beautiful apartment. By the time we were ready to move, it felt like hell on earth. The walls were closing in and we were ready to get out, ready to move back home, be around our family, start our own family, get some land, see some green, touch some grass. And I'm sure you are too. And that's why you're here. So today will be the first installment of really many, but the first of 5 installments on relocating to the Philly suburbs. So this is going to be an overview, not a super long video, as we dive into relocating to the main line, relocating to Bucks County, relocating to Chester County and the Jersey suburbs. Those will be longer videos. We're going to walk through all of the specific towns after that so that you can get a sense of where you'd like to live before you start the home buying process, because it's not that fun to have to spend time either getting on the train, getting in the car, flying, whatever it might be, to the Philly suburbs to not even look at homes, but just to look at towns to see which ones feel like they might be right for you. So I'm going to try and give you a sense of what all the towns around here are like. I grew up in a few of the towns around here. I live in one of them right now, so I feel like I have a pretty good sense of what the towns are like. If I don't by now, that's problematic. So I'll send out videos for those over the coming weeks. Probably it'll end up being weeks because there's a lot of towns and I want to give enough time to each. But today we're just going to give a general overview on the process of relocating, how you should structure your relocation journey, from figuring out your timeline, your priorities, how to search, when to search, which homes to choose, which towns to choose, all of that. And we're going to try and do it relatively quickly because there's a lot of information to come and it'd be insane to make like a 3-hour video on it because you won't watch that whole thing, and why would you? So there are, I would say, 4 big topics or elements to relocating. They are deciding you're going to relocate and when you're going to relocate. Maybe it's a job that's forcing you to, whatever it might be. There's going to be some timing involved. So figuring out that timing, because that's going to determine how you start searching. The next is figuring out not only the location you want, but part and parcel with that is the lifestyle you want. Are you going to be commuting into Philly, Wilmington, Trenton, Princeton? Maybe you aren't going to have to commute everywhere. Maybe you're like me and my wife and we were working from home, so we truly had the freedom to look wherever we wanted. But whatever it might be, that's going to be your next big step, because that's going to determine which towns you look at, the radius in terms of commute that you're looking at. And then after that, the actual search and offer process commences, and the logistics that go into that when you're remote. I like to think that I can be particularly useful in that sense because I do virtual showings for clients. I can help you narrow it down because of my experience growing up here, living here now, having relocated myself. I know the ins and outs of what you need and what you don't need and how to narrow a search so you're not wasting weekends and money coming to the Philly suburbs, despite how amazing it is. But I know you have a busy life and we want to make this simple for you. So that's my goal with my relocation guide, which you can find on my website. That's my goal with this series. It's to make relocating as easy as possible so that you just have to come in a weekend or two, confirm that the town that you think it is actually is what it is, and then look at the 4 or 5 homes that we narrow this down to for you. Pick one, and then you're going to be moving into your home before you know it. That's the dream. So, what I'm going to cover very quickly is timeline, determining your priorities, location, schools, monthly payment and taxes, a buying plan, an offer plan, how to handle inspections, appraisals, closing logistics, and then I'll briefly talk about what it'll be like the month after closing and actually moving. And then I'll talk a little bit about some local guides that I have, my process for relocating, and some checklists that I think might be useful. So, relocating is a 4-phased process. One is focusing. You're trying to build a short list of towns, a short list of neighborhoods, ultimately a short list of homes that fit what you're looking for in terms of your lifestyle, in terms of your commute, in terms of what you want out of the Philly suburbs. The next one is search, and this is just a specific home search. Once you have a narrowed down location, the home search gets a lot easier. If you're looking at homes all over the Philly suburbs, it's going to become overwhelming very quickly when you're trying to do this from a couch in DC or from your apartment in New York. And then the third phase is the actual buying process. So offer, contract, due diligence. How do you handle that remotely? That's something I can help with. And then phase 4, closing and move. So this is coordinating movers, utilities, registrations, and completing my first week checklist, which I think is a very useful thing to have when you are relocating. So let's talk about priorities that I think relocators should focus on when they're moving to the Philadelphia suburbs. The first and biggest, I've said it like 8 times so far. I'll say it probably 37 more times throughout this video. You need to figure out what your commute pattern and optionality is like. So there are a lot of train stations in the Philly suburbs that get you into different places. A lot of commuting roads, 202, 30, 3, 76, the Blue Route. Try not to live on the Blue Route. It's a nightmare. But you need to figure out if you're going to Center City, if you're going to King of Prussia, Wilmington, Princeton, New York, if you're fully remote, whatever it might be. If you're only commuting a couple times a week, if you're hybrid like my wife is right now, your routine preferences. Do you want walkability out of your suburb? Do you want full-on privacy where you're definitely getting in a car to go anywhere? Do you want something that's like Philly adjacent, something down near like Conchi or Bala, something like that? How you're going to approach schools, and this is, I'm not here to comment on the quality of schools. That's for you to determine. I can give you like US News rankings, but it also does affect resale liquidity, home value, especially in the long term. So something to think about, even if schools aren't going to be a direct factor in your life. Housing stock preferences, older, new construction, that's going to change where we look as well. Whether you want turnkey, relatively newly renovated or built home, historic and charming homes, all of these are going to influence where you're looking. And then your payment comfort, and I like to think about this in terms of monthly payment, not just your overall number you're willing to pay for a house, because I think people can go house poor pretty quick that way, because you're not factoring in taxes, insurance, everything that, I mean, even gas money for commuting. And then taxes are going to vary, especially if you're looking on both sides of the Delaware. Taxes in New Jersey are going to be very different than taxes in Pennsylvania. And taxes in, like, let's say, Montgomery County are going to be very different than Chester County. So understanding all of this is going to go into how you set your priorities. The next is location. So I'm just going to give a few examples here of each. I'm going to dive into this in much more detail in future videos. But so if you're looking for walkability and energy, and let's say you're looking generally around the main line, then you're going to be looking at towns like Ardmore with Suburban Square, Wayne. Maybe you're looking at Chester County, Westchester that has Gay Street. I'm in Phoenixville. We have Bridge Street. It's amazing. shuts down on the weekends in the summer, ton of distilleries, bars, restaurants. So you can find that energy from the city that you're moving from in the suburbs, or you could be looking for classic suburban convenience. So places like Devon, Berwyn, further out into Chester County, you can get huge swaths of land. There are old farms you can get. That's a little harder to do. And then you need to think about, do I want to be near a train station? All of this. So there are a lot of factors that go into the location that you're looking for. I'm sure you have a sense of this, but something to think about before you start searching in earnest. Because if you have too broad of an idea of what you'd like, then you're going to be searching forever. You're going to have to be commuting down to the Philly suburbs multiple times to figure out which homes you like. And that gets old fast, trust me. So for schools, confirm your school assignment in the homes you're looking at if that matters to you. You got to think in time horizons as well. If you want a family, don't have a family yet, and you're thinking we need to be in like we want Conestoga. It's a great high school by U.S. News Report rankings. You don't necessarily need to be there right now. You can live somewhere, move in 7 or 10 years, and still get into that quote unquote great school district in the future. So you don't have to outkick your coverage price wise right now. Just something to think about. And then don't ignore your day-to-day routine. That's what's actually going to impact your life. Don't make your commute horrible just because someone told you that you need to be in this school district. You can throw a dartboard at a map of the Philly suburbs and hit a good school. Throw a dartboard at it. Throw a dart at a map of the Philly suburbs on a dartboard. And then monthly payment and taxes. We talked about this briefly. You need to think about the all-in monthly payment, not just what the mortgage is going to do, but the interest on the mortgage, insurance, taxes. All of this is going to get folded up into what you're actually paying on a monthly basis. I do not want to see you regret your purchase because you swung for the fences when you should have been just trying to hit a grounder. Hey guys, we'll jump right back in a second, but I want to offer you something absolutely free. So I have put together a complete relocation guide all the way from deciding we want to move to the Philadelphia suburbs through closing. And I want to give it to you so that your relocation process is simple. So I interviewed a ton of relocators, past clients, current clients, pulled from some personal experience in this on what made our relocation process easy. And I put over 100 hours into creating this guide just for you. So if you're interested, either check out the link in the description below or just DM me Relocating and I will get that guide right over to you. All right, back to the video. And then your buying plan. This is where I become somewhat useful, I like to think. So we do video first, so I can walk through homes for you. Or if you're working with another agent, God forbid, they should be walking through homes for you so that you're not walking to every home. This is a very easy way for you to narrow your list without it becoming too burdensome. It'll help you get a sense of what you're actually looking for, what you actually want to avoid. And then when that list narrows and you get it down to a select few, then you can come down, see them in person, make sure they are what you thought they were. They are what they thought they were. Don't screen, shout out. And then verifying the neighborhood is important on the weekends you come down to. I like to have clients stop by at, let's say, noon, 4 p.m., and 8 p.m., just so that they can get a sense of what the traffic's going to be like around there, what the sound's going to be like around there, what the parking's like around there. You need to understand everything that you're getting into, not just, I really like this house. And then offers. So this is in my buying guide. It's in my full relocating guide as well. Buying in the Philly suburbs, it's a very competitive market, and obviously price is going to be a big determining factor on if the offer is accepted, but there are a lot of other factors that can influence whether you win the home or not. So pricing, financing strength, lender credibility, clean timelines, flexibility on timelines, your posture with regards to inspection, coming fully prepared for appraisals, especially if comps are thin. There's a lot of older housing stock in the Philly suburbs. So having prepared comps, comparable homes for a potential appraisal challenge can be something that occurs, especially if you're looking at older houses in the Philly suburbs. And then inspections and appraisals. the goal is not to be have everything absolutely covered in inspections. You definitely want to cover the big ticket items: roof, HVAC, foundation, potential water damage, big systems. Depending on your desire to be in that home, the leverage we have in negotiation, then you can start nitpicking some of the more cosmetic stuff. And then I just talked about appraisals. So my whole guide, these are big sections. I'm going to talk about them a lot in the future, I promise, on longer videos. But the three big buckets, once you have submitted an offer, once we're under contract, heading towards closing and post-closing, are closing logistics. There's a lot of timing compression for relocators because you have to get stuff done sometimes in person in the area. So understanding that, hey, we shouldn't be booking plans for every weekend in this under contract time period, however long it is, depending on the contract, because you are going to need some personal flexibility to make sure everything is getting done as it needs to get done. And then moving timing, this gets a little bit into negotiation structure in terms of your offer. But understanding that if you do have an ideal move-in date, you need to work backwards from that date to see when you need to start searching, because it'll take a little bit longer than if you live here to get your search together, to see the homes, to make sure everything is exactly what you're hoping for in a home. So I would figure out when is our drop dead date we want to be in the Philly suburbs, and then you work back from there, which I can help with. And then here's just a quick to-do list. Once you are moved in, this is the very exciting part of relocating. So getting utilities on, setting up internet and cable, doing an energy audit, as I like to call it, make sure all the systems are up and running, windows are good, all of that. You can get a deep cleaning if desired. I think particularly in the old homes, I highly recommend that. And then changing the locks, testing smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, the alarm system, if there is one, any home renovations, cosmetic changes. I like to do that before all of the furniture is set up. Like if you're going to paint a room, the movers pretty much move stuff into the middle of rooms. So it's almost like they set it up to paint. Don't start getting excited and putting everything against walls. Just realize, we need to throw some White Dove on this. Shout out White Dove. Get a home warranty, fire extinguishers, find major systems, find where the main water shutoff is, find your HVAC system, all of those panels. Make sure that you understand where all of the water valves are for sinks, toilets, all of that, breaker box, panel, whatever it is. Childproof if you need to. Forward your mail and update billing addresses. What a fun first week. It is fun. You're gonna have like if it's anything like my move, you'll have like 2 hours of that a day, and then we just like sat and watched our dogs run in the yard for like an hour and a half. It was sick. So recommend. And then your first month in your home, enjoy the new home, figure out the new city, figure out Philly. It's the best place on earth. I truly believe that. Go Birds. Go Birds, dickheads. Hey guys, we'll jump right back in a second, but first I want to offer you something for free. So I have spent over 75 hours putting together my comprehensive buying guide, and this is for first-time home buyers. This is for someone who is an experienced home buyer and just wants a little bit more information on how to navigate an appraisal gap. The guide covers everything. So I spoke to tons of home buyers, past clients, current clients, any agent that would talk to me about this so that I could give you as much information as possible. And the best part is you don't have to pay for a thing. So if you're interested in this guide, either check out the link in the description below or DM me buying and I will get it right over to you. All right, back to the video. Test your commute before you're really working. Tour local neighborhoods, figure out what you like, what you don't like. And then here's my just overarching process. Again, I'm going to dive into this much more deeply in upcoming videos, but we have an intro call, go through the relocation checklist so that you understand everything that's coming, make sure that you're comfortable with the time commitment, make sure I understand what your time commitment is because I want to work around your schedule. I want to make this easy for you. I don't need this to be easy for me at all. I'm willing to do whatever to get you guys here. build out a town short list. I'm going to talk about other guides in a second, but figure out the towns that you're interested in. So then that narrows the search. And then we figure out budget and a financing plan, which will help further narrow the search. And then we virtual tour and we funnel all those virtual tours down into exactly what you want. And then we get a weekend, 2, maybe 3 of in-person tours so that you're not back and forth for months at a time. Find the home you love, then your offer strategy designed around your price band, around the home, around the location, and then inspection and appraisal. We'll get all of that done, hopefully smoothly, and then closing coordination, go through that moving checklist, and then you're in your home. It really is that simple. And then in terms of local guidance, so I have my big relocation guide you can find on my website. And then I have 4 other guides broken down by location. So I have a mainline relocating guide, a Chester County relocating guide, a Bucks County relocating guide, and a Jersey Suburbs relocating guide. So all of those are available on my website. I'll put some links in here too. If you already know, hey, we definitely want the main line. Hey, we definitely want the space in Chester County. We're going to be commuting to New York, so we definitely want Bucks. Whatever it is, I have a guide. It goes through pretty much every major town in those areas, lets you know what they're like, what the commute patterns typically like, things to do, where to live, all of that stuff in those guides. And then I'm just going to run through this checklist quickly, but no, we're going to dive into all of this in much more detail in the future. So the checklist for relocating to the Philly suburbs. Define your routine, priorities first. You got to figure out your actual monthly number next. And by monthly number, I mean what you're willing to pay a month. So mortgage, interest on the mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA dues, if any, commute costs, if any. That includes gas, parking, all of that. And then after that, we can build a short list of towns and submarkets that we can focus on. And then we're going to use the remote funnel. So me going out, filming homes for you, doing these virtual tours so that you can get a sense of what you don't and do like. And then we'll narrow it down to the finalists and we'll do 1, 2, maybe 3 in-person weekends where you get to see these homes, figure out if they're actually what you think they are. And then we're offer time, inspection, appraisal, closing, moving logistics, and then you're in here and you're having the best first week of your life. So that very quickly is relocating to the Philly suburbs. So whether you're in DC like I was, you're in Philly and just want to get out of Philly, you're in New York, Trenton, Newark, wherever it is, come to the Philly suburbs. It's the best place on earth, and I want to help you relocate here. So as I said, this is the first very brief part of a series of videos that I will create on relocating to the Philly suburbs. I hope this was partially informational, but really I wanted this to be a roadmap for where we're going. The next few videos will be much more informational. So stick around for those. Subscribe if you're interested. Follow, do all the social media stuff. Have some of this information in smaller snippets on Instagram, TikTok. I have YouTube shorts, all that fun stuff. I'm an influencer, baby. No, I don't really like putting my face on here, but I really want to help you guys, so I'll do it. All right. I love you all. I'll talk to you next time.